This is Community Forum, a community service of CAN TV. I'm your host, Juan Carlos Hernandez. Today we have two individuals that work with San Jose Obrero Mission that serves the areas of Pilsen and Little Village. We have Elizabeth Jucino, the Board Vice President, and the Executive Director, Israel Vargas. But before we talk to them, we're going to start by showing a short video clip to give us an idea of some of their work and the people that they serve.
My name is Ricardo.
Samuel Jima.
My name is Elvis Echo.
And I'm 27 years old.
31 years old.
I live in Chicago for 18 years.
I went to college.
I have an associate degree in advertising.
I have a medical degree.
I was an accountant for over 20 years.
And I'm a physician.
I have a master's degree in electronic engineering.
And I'm homeless.
Homeless.
I am homeless.
I'm homeless.
And I'm homeless. I'm unemployed and I'm homeless.
Come on and save me.
And I am Israel Vargas. I'm the Executive Director of the San Jose Obrero Mission in Pilsen, and these are my clients. The San Jose Obrero Mission has been around for 30 years.
It's rolling, sir.
But over the last 5, we've become pioneers of a new kind of homeless shelter in Chicago. One that doesn't just warehouse people for the night and give them a warm meal. We have about 40 men in the program, and they are welcome to stay with us for 4 months. While they are here, we provide computers to search for work, job leads, medical checkups, and enrollment in area schools. But we also make demands on them. There's an internal factor in people's lives that they have to take care of before they are ready to make this step. When they are, we're there to help them help themselves. If I were homeless, I would not mind being in a place like this. It's clean. I am not about to warehouse people. I need people to have elbow room, so I couldn't add no more people. I wish I could, but I couldn't add no more people here. I told the city at one time the recipe for a successful interim housing program is 40 beds, 1 case manager, 1 cook, 3 full-time program staff and 2 full-time program staff, and of course, an awesome director like me. I know how easy it is to lose your way when you don't have a comfort of a home. When I was 18, I spent 2 months living on the street, afraid to go back to my mother's house. When I turned 19, I started running with the wrong crowd. One night, I gave a gun to a friend who used it to kill a rival gang member, and I was sentenced to 35 years in prison as an accessory to murder. I make no excuses for what I did. I served my time, but I served it well. I got my associate's degrees in Pontiac Prison and a master's from Roosevelt University when I got out. After serving 12 years, I was released on parole in 2002. I had only 3 goals in my mind: to get a job, to start a family, and to never go back to prison again. I'm fortunate because I found a network of people who saw I was motivated to succeed. And that's what I try to convey to our clients. If you have the motivation, we will find a way to help you.
Well, thanks for that. And let's start talking about some of those individuals. You say that there's an internal factor that they have to go through and change. And as we also saw at the beginning of that video, it's very surprising. Some people are doctors, accountants, not the stereotype we have of people who are homeless.
That's correct.
So tell us about that change that people have to go through, or how does someone in that type of a profession end up homeless?
Well, it doesn't take much to be homeless. All you have to have is all the right circumstances happen to you. In that particular case, that gentleman came from out of state. He has nobody here to come for a job, and when he got here, the job fell through. So he ended up being in the car for 3 days, and then we took him on at our agency and successfully transferred him out to an apartment after he gained job, a high-level job for that man because he was a surgeon. So support is one of the issues in which we come across when dealing with our population. Many of them don't have no support, burn their bridges, and may be lacking some internal tools needed to adequately cope with
the changes that are happening in your life leading to a spiral down. We cover those things by making sure that not only they have a structure at the agency, but ensuring that through that structure they're receiving all this information that's going to help them make the right decisions, from our life skills classes to our career training program. All of these are essential tools that you need to be able to not only have a positive social interaction, market yourself for a job, and eventually able to do the technical things like write a check to the landlord so that you can keep the apartment.
Right. Tell me more about those, and then we'll talk about you and your experience. Those internal changes, you said that they lack the internal tools to deal with some of these difficulties that they've come across in their lives. What do you most encounter in the clients that you serve?
Well, most of it comes from their upbringings, and you could come from a well-off family, but if the appropriate attention was not given to some very basic development parts of your life, you are going to be missing those things as you grow.
For example?
For example, is one good example is like if you come from a good family, but there is a disconnect between the mother and the father, you're not learning that relationship component. And so as you grow old, as you get older, you may be coming across some difficulties in holding a relationship, which can lead to you making some wrong decisions for who your partner is, which can lead to, from a domestic battery situation to just a separation, and just a separation alone can lead to you becoming homeless.
Interesting. We will come back to your story. I want to bring Elizabeth, or Lisa, right, into the conversation. How did you become involved in San Jose Obrero, and why?
I became involved with San Jose after meeting Israel at an event. When he introduced himself and mentioned San Jose, I right away knew of San Jose through my church. My church sponsors the annual Christmas for the men in crisis and a sweater drive, and I am on the All-State Against Domestic Abuse team, and we do a lot of training on financial curriculum. So he was talking to me about the Families in Crisis facility, and I was interested in going and seeing what they did, and also visiting the men's shelter, because all I knew of the men's shelter was that, we bought a sweater every Christmas and supported the organization. When I went with Israel, we started at the men's facility, and
The one in Pilsen, right?
the one in Pilsen on Loomis, and I was just really taken back, because in your mind, when you think of a homeless shelter, you have this. I had this. I didn't expect to see what I saw. I expected to see a facility, full of beds. I didn't expect that they did everything that they did. So walking through it, I was taken back because the place is immaculate. The participants, friendly. It was just a very different environment than what I was walking into. And when we went up into the men's dorm area, I was surprised at how nice it was. Everyone, again, very friendly. Then we went to see the Families in Crisis program.
That's the center in Little Village?
And that's the center in Little Village on 24th and Albany. When you walk through and you see these children, and the moms and their babies, and they had a class going on at the time, and they have a center for the kids downstairs. My heart was like, how can you not help?
What is it specifically that you saw with the men, first of all? You said it was immaculate, but and it was a different impression from what you thought it might be. But what exactly happened?
It was, for me, it was the interaction that the staff was having with them. One of the gentlemen was filling out some log, and Israel introduced him, and right away he started telling me, well, they hold us accountable here. He was in school. He was filling out his log because he said he had to tell them from 7 a.m. till sometime p.m. what it is he accomplished for the day.
Wow. So every
so
hour.
there's accountability.
Right.
It wasn't just someone giving you, a plate of food. It was, no, I'm helping you change your life. And if I'm going to help you change your life, these are the steps you need to take. And if you want me to help you, I'll help you.
Right.
But you got to follow this program.
Wow.
And he was a young man, and he was happy, excited about the opportunities that he had and what he was seeing. I met another gentleman, Fernando, who, right away shook my hand. He was from Puerto Rico, as I am, and he was telling me that he had struggled a lot when he came here. He ended up in a terrible situation, told me of a different shelter he was in, and then he said, and then I came here, and wow. The support that we have here is tremendous. I have goals. They're helping me save. I want to go back. I'm almost close to reaching my goal. It was just very different. I had never experienced that before.
And it was the same type of interaction and energy with the mothers and children?
Yes. And then, and that's, and it's different too, right? Because now you're dealing with kids. You would expect being in a homeless shelter that you would, I don't know, I expected to see sadness. These people were happy. The kids were excited, doing different activities. And what I loved was the fact that the moms were getting career classes, life skills. I heard one of the counselors talking to the woman, play interviewing, getting her ready to go on an interview, asking her about what are you going to wear, and not putting her down when she came off, telling her what she was. No, well, let's think different. If I came in and I was dressed like this, what would your reaction be to me? So educating them on what first impressions mean.
Right. It's not tearing down the person, it's building them up.
Yes.
Is what I'm getting.
Yeah,
Israel, tell us about your experience and what eventually led you to the doors and to be the executive director of San Jose Obrero Mission.
Well, you've seen some of it in the video. I endured some times in which I was within the correctional system.
How did you end up there, though? Take us through some of that story. Obviously.
Well, I mean, I was raised in Puerto Rico. I came in 1983, landed in Pilsen. By then, my parents were divorced, so a lot of the guidance that was coming towards me was not coming from the right directions. And so there was a certain level of segregation within the community, within our people, because I have to say our people, that do not expose you to other cultures as it should. And so it leaves you less educated to what other people would think or how they will act. You assimilate the environment that you're living in, and then eventually something like this will happen. Where you're at the wrong place at the wrong time, and just because you're there, you're found guilty of such things. I went through the system and went to school, and I actually learned most of my English in prison as I was going to college over there.
Wow.
Because when I came from Puerto Rico, my English was damn near non-existent. So I say that education really expanded my intellect to the point to where, because I had the foundation, which is family, and the support, which was for family and relatives from Puerto Rico, I was really starting to rethink of taking myself back to the person that I really was, which was not a bad person, but a person who just, I was misguided. I came out in 2002, and I have 4 goals, and my goals were to continue my education, establish a family, engage in a career, and buy a house. Because I felt that as a man, I needed to show that I was responsible, and those 4 things would show that. And so I began working for Parents United for Responsible Education as an administrative assistant, but I came out with computer skills, and that made me very marketable for that agency. So at first I was a consultant, and immediately thereafter I was hired as a resource development associate, because I started learning how a nonprofit works in regards to bringing monies in to run the programs.
Right.
That's when I came up with my thought of starting my own nonprofit, a parent training center, because we have a lot of parents who don't have the tools to hold on to their kids and give them the structure that they need.
They don't come with the instructions, right? And a lot of times, like you said, there's a lack in their own upbringing.
Right, you know, a lot of parents are working, you know, many hours, and they cannot afford to provide that particular guidance to the children. So as I'm moving along the social service environment, my thought is to start my own nonprofit, and I'm meeting people as I go along that are becoming my mentors, like Lisa Nigro, the founder of Inspiration Corporation, Jim Mavey from William Blair and Company, Raul Raimundo from Resurrection Project, and I got a whole list. And I meet with these people periodically as they guide me through my journey in life, because they have more wisdom than I do. Well, eventually, after becoming an organizer in Pilsen, and I couldn't stand organizing because I'm more direct services. Tell me what you need and I'll give it to you.
Right.
I really don't want to have a conversation about these issues here. Let me just give you the rental assistance. So Raul thought that my place was where I came from, which is serving our low income to no income people, our community, and telling my story. And it's amazing how, as much as I didn't like organizing, I use it a lot now. I use it with my participants, because we have to get to know each other in order for me to be able to know how to help you. If you miss any information, we're missing a piece of the puzzle that led you to where you're at, that we need to put back to take you to where you need to be. And so in 2008, became the executive director, and seeing such a potential, the Latino community was not being looked at by the social service arena as an agency that was making an impact. And so I began not only educating our political leaders, educating our community, and educating our funders that we do have a place in this spectrum of nonprofits helping our city of Chicago, especially because we're the only ones focused on the Latino community. And so that's how we are where we are now.
And how have you brought people like Elizabeth on board to, well, she says she met you, but how do you help those connections grow to make people more aware of what you're doing?
So, you know, it takes, again, that organizing mentality. I need to engage you, you know, so when I come up to you and I tell you, or I ask you, you know, why don't you come over so I can give you a site tour so you can see what we're doing. And then once I got you in there and you see in your own eyes that what you thought, the stigma, the mentality is not rightfully where it's supposed to be, and you see that this is actually a home that has a good environment and that people are moving forward in their transition in life, then you become enamored of the agency. And once you're enamored, then I'll ask you to not only help me run it, but help me by being the leader, by leading me to make sure that I continue that mission that we have put there.
Okay, and Lisa, I'm switching between Elizabeth and Lisa. Okay. You're the board vice president. You told us how you came to San Jose Obrero, but usually people don't join a board. What made you join the board, and then what has been your role as the vice president?
I joined the board of San Jose because the mission of what they were doing is something that has been instilled in me since I was little. You know, I grew up in a home of, I have 7 brothers and sisters, and my parents were always helping. My mom always, we had people coming and going that lived in our home, and it's just, you know, you talk about how parents instill things in you. It really didn't hit me of all the work that I did till I was older. And I started realizing that, God, I'm doing the same thing my mom did, you know, but in a different way. So I wanted to connect with him because I had mentioned to you, I am on the All-State National Foundation Against Abuse team, and we do a lot of work in empowering women. and we have a financial curriculum that we share with various organizations, and San Jose is utilizing that curriculum as well. So I wanted to be a greater part of that and just not participate with doing the curriculum,
Right.
but actually making a difference and helping San Jose succeed. So I agreed to, become part of the board and, out here telling the story and getting people to get involved, because it doesn't take that much.
Right, right. I did see from the website that you call on volunteers, right?
We have a large number of volunteers coming. We got universities coming from all over the nation to do volunteer work, from painting to cleaning to cooking and feeding. We have community service. We have high school students doing their community hours. We welcome anybody that wants to come in, and that's how we get you to see what's happening. A lot of these people never thought that they will come to a place that we can call home,
Right.
for our population, and when they come and they see that, they become more involved and they help us out.
Okay, tell me what a person, we can touch on the services that you provide. I end up without a home. I need help. What's the process of first coming through your doorway and through all the services that you provide?
Absolutely. So it's important to understand that most of our men are coming in through word of mouth, because we are a point of entry for the Latino population. So as soon as they land in Pilsen and they don't have anywhere to go, they're looking for a job, they'll refer them to us. And for our families, they come from the Department of Family Support Services. Either way, when you come in, you do an intake in which we cache demographic information and homeless status. And that's the beginning of the assessment to determine what led you to where you're at now. Once we do that, we assign you a case manager, do a thorough assessment. You go through a psychosocial evaluation. We have an agency that helps us with mental health evaluation and substance abuse. Once we cover those things, we go to the next level, which is bringing Harlan to come in and do medical basic needs. So we're covering prescriptions, diabetes, insulin, all of that stuff. Once we got that basic component that was a barrier at that time controlled, then we start feeding you all of this information, which is the technical aspect on what you're going to use to become marketable out there. You're meeting with our case manager once a week. You get 3 meals a day. You have to do chores because that's part of life skills. And the employment services coordinator does one-on-one to help you build your resume and give you job leads. Sometimes we take the guys and the families to job fairs, and we give them a lot of clothing that we get donated to us. We did Dress for Success with Mike Keogh at one point, and he got us a whole bunch of suits. So we have all the attire and everything. It's a very peaceful, positive environment. There's no drugs, alcohol, intimidation, fights. All of that is not accepted weapons, nothing. And participants sign off on the rules and regulations when they come in. We have a structure for people that are not adhering. We go for a verbal, then a written, then 30-day probation, then 1-day suspension, and then after that, that means that our program is not appropriate for you. And so we refer you out somewhere else. When you get ready, you can come back and we can try again. The program model is 120 days, but you get to stay with us as long as you need to for you to be successful. And on average, our men will stay anywhere from 6 to 8 months at our program before they become house, and our families will be 8 months to a year, because it takes more to stabilize the family, especially if we have children that have come in with some trauma.
Right.
So we do 0 to 5 early development on the kids. We make sure that they get seen by Beacon Therapeutic, and basically try to figure out how to unify that family all over again and take some of that trauma away.
Okay, we're getting close to the end of the show. Let's talk about the gala, when it is, where it is, and what's going to be happening there.
The gala is going to be at the Mexican Fine Arts Museum on Friday, November 8th. We're going to have a silent auction. The gala is going to be hosted by actor Sal Velez.
Okay.
He is going to be hosting and being our keynote speaker for the event, and we'll be
Tell us-
honoring.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
We'll be honoring
Chuy Garcia,
Chuy Garcia for
a
his
former
work.
board member, Sue Shimen, and Sal Velez will get an award for his dedication to come all the way to Chicago to help this one pearl in the Latino community.
Tell us more about Sal. I know he's from Chicago, but and I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with his work. Tell us a little more about him.
So Sal's been in a couple of movies. He's I think his career at this point is catapulting to a whole nother level. He was in some, I think he was in CSI in a couple of series of crime scene investigation. So he's taking bigger roles now, and I think he's a testament because of his upbringings coming from Humboldt Park and having endured some of the craziness that happens in our Latino community. He's a testament of how a person can come from a community and really pick themselves up and make something of themselves.
Right, change their lives.
And what's going to be happening at the gala? It's a formal dinner. Is there entertainment, dancing?
Yes, we will have
All of it.
All of it.
all of it.
All of
It's
it,
going to be a
yes.
great time.
We'll have a presentation, we'll have the awards, we'll be showing a Chrysalis Society invitation to everybody, which is a new initiative we're putting forth to create a society of people that really want to end homelessness and wants to fight with San Jose Obrero Mission to make that happen.
Okay, yeah, and that's actually what I was curious about. This gala is a fundraiser. Tell us about some of the future projects or goals you have in mind as San Jose Obrero Mission, and how that gala serves as a kind of a push for that.
Absolutely. So right now we are in transition of moving families in crisis to another site. The site that we have now is not ours. We want to purchase our own building. In that building, we want to have classrooms, we want to have a gym, we want to have a clinic, and it takes a lot of money to do something like that, and we feel that it's important to have a lot of this in-house, because if you take, for instance, our undocumented population, a lot of them do not receive Main Street benefits, and through us, they get that help. And remember that when it comes to men, period, that all they get from the government is food stamps. So they don't get no medical aid. They don't get no general assistance. So it's very, very important for us to have that. Along with that, we're looking to opening a permanent supportive housing program in the future as well, which will have 7 units. And all of these programs require money so that we can hire the proper staff and provide the resources to our participants.
Great. We're out of time. Elizabeth, Israel, thank you so much for coming out and sharing so much of this information with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Community Forum is a community service of CAN TV. If your nonprofit organization would like to work with CAN TV, call 312-738-1400 and ask for nonprofit services. Tune into Community Forum for local issues and concerns every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. on CAN TV 21. I'm Juan Carlos Hernandez. Thank you for joining us.